this video, we're going to have a look at CheckCentral's Axcient x360Recover integration. This integration will automatically create checks for backup jobs in your Axcient environment and then regularly poll Axcient for recent backup activities. We'll step through the configuration steps necessary to get started. First, we'll head to the Direct Integrations page located under the Services menu. We'll click the Add Direct Integration button. We'll click Axcient x360Recover from the list of available integrations. This will present us with the new Direct Integration wizard. The first thing we need to do is name our direct integration. In this example, we'll just stick with the default name. Next, we'll need to switch over to our Axcient x360Recover environment in order to create a new API key. In the Axcient portal, we'll click on Settings in the sidebar, and then API Keys. This will bring us to the API Keys page. Next, we'll click Add API Key in the top right. In the pop-up that appears, we'll be prompted to name the API key. We'll enter in a name and then check the box to confirm that we accept and agree to their license agreement. We'll click Generate API Key. The generated API key will be displayed. We'll click on the Copy button to copy the key to our clipboard and then click Close. We'll switch back to CheckCentral. In the API key field, we'll paste the key that we copied from the Axcient portal and then click Next. We're presented with the Group Assignment page. This is where we'll set which group our checks will be assigned to. If we have a look at the default check group section, we'll see that by default, CheckCentral will assign new checks to groups based on the client value of the backup job. Further down, we can see that if there isn't an existing group that matches the client value, CheckCentral will go ahead and create a new group using that client value and assign the check to that group. These can all be customized to accommodate your use case, but we'll stick with these default settings for this example. Underneath the default check group section, there's a section called Customize Group Assignment. This allows us to manually map clients in Axcient to CheckCentral groups. You can also click on the Auto Match Groups button to have CheckCentral attempt to automatically map these clients to groups. Once we've set up our group assignments, we'll click on the Save and Create Check Definition button to continue with our setup. The check definition setup allows us to choose exactly what jobs we're having CheckCentral monitor, how those checks are identified, and how we should be notified when there are issues. We'll start by setting up our matching rules. By default, CheckCentral will create checks for all jobs it discovers. You can create rules to only include specific jobs if needed, but in this example, we'll create checks for all jobs. We'll click Next to continue. We're presented with the Check Identification page. This allows us to configure how we want our checks named and what labels to apply. We'll start with the check name template. By default, the checks will be named based on dynamic values pulled from the Axcient integration. In this case, the device being backed up, followed by the job type of the backup. This can be edited if needed, but we'll stick with the default settings here for this example. Next, we can set what label will be applied to the check. By default, the label is created based on dynamic values from the integration as well, starting with the integration name followed by the device type. This can be changed if needed, but we'll stick with the default for this as well. The Check Groups section allows us to override the group mappings we set up during the previous steps, but in this example, we don't need to make any changes. We'll click Next to continue. The Notifications page lets us configure how we want to be notified when there are issues. We can choose to be emailed, receive a text message, receive push notifications via the CheckCentral mobile app, as well as several other options. If you've configured other notification services or ticketing systems, those can be selected here as well. Additional options to further refine when alerts are sent are also available, but for our example, we'll stick with the defaults. We'll click Next to continue. The final page shows us a summary of what checks will be created, and we can see what the names of our checks will look like, as well as what label they'll be assigned. Since everything looks good, we'll go ahead and click on the Save button. We'll be taken to the Integration Overview page. From here, we can see a list of backup jobs that have been discovered by our integration and view the resulting checks. By default, this integration will update data every hour, but we can manually request an update by clicking on the Update button located at the top of the page. If we refresh the page here, we can see that some activities have been created, meaning CheckCentral has received some backup status information from Axcient. If we open up one of our checks here, we can see the new activity under the Recent Activities table. We can click on the latest activity we received here to view the backup status information CheckCentral received from Axcient. We've now completed configuring our Axcient integration in CheckCentral. CheckCentral will automatically create checks for any new backup jobs it discovers from our Axcient environment and update those regularly. As always, CheckCentral will keep an eye on things and let us know if there are any issues.